What's up, everyone? I'm Jenny.
And I'm Jessie.
You're listening to Milkshakes and Ghosts.
All aboard!
Are we going on a journey today?
Of course! We're taking a trip back in time across the ocean. We received countless emails regarding haunted ships that all of you wonderful spooky ghouls and gals wanted us to cover.
Yep, that's right. Our wonderful assistant, Jack. Hey, Jack. And picked a couple of suggestions and passed it along. So, Jessie and I, we each picked a specific ship that we wanted to cover in today's episode.
However, I don't know which ship my mom picked, and she doesn't know what ship I picked.
Hopefully, we didn't pick the same one.
I don't think Jack would let that happen. Jack, did me and my mom pick the same ship?
He's shaking his head no.
Thank goodness.
Yeah, girl, I'm so glad ZipRecruiter exists, or we would have never found him, Jessie.
Facts. Everyone needs a Jack. Anyways, before we get started, Mom, Mama, Mother, Madre, what you drinking today? 'Cause there's a bunch of food sticking out your cup. It looks a little crazy.
I thought you were gonna call me bra at the end of that sentence, Jess.
It crossed my mind.
I'm sure it did. Well, since I did skip over breakfast and lunch today, I decided to blend all of this into a shake.
Nasty!
Girl, it's not. I got my recipe from tasteofhome.com, and this shake is loaded with coffee ice cream, Irish cream, a shot of espresso, hot chocolate mix, okay? I blended this wholesome drink and then stuffed it with mini pancakes and bacon at the top of my cup. I drizzled a little bit of Cheerios and maple syrup around just to give it a little bit of flavor. This is breakfast.
Wow, that sounds like a belly ache.
I didn't put everything that the recipe originally required. I think one of the ingredients were donuts at the top, which I felt like that was just too much.
I'll take the donut over your milkshake.
Look, my milkshake is good, okay? There's just a lot of coffee in it, so for me, that's a plus. I also get a meal out of it because of the pancakes, bacons, and Cheerios at the top, so I can't complain. This is actually really good. I recommend this.
That's just too much. That's a belly ache, like literally.
Anyways, I will link this recipe, which is good, Jessie, in our show notes if anyone else is interested in making this. It's really good for busy people who don't have time to eat like me. That way you get your coffee, your sugar, and your breakfast all in one cup. So, Jessie, what you drinking today?
I am drinking the ultimate brownie milkshake.
Now that sounds like a really bad tummy ache. That's going to be a disaster for you later on.
It's good. It has a lot of chocolate. And I got my recipe from a website online. The website's name is kevinandamanda.com. It's got marshmallow cream, crushed Oreos, vanilla ice cream, and some milk, garnished with whipped cream. So I always use dairy-free products, so you know I use dairy-free products. But the recipe does not require you to do so. I will link the recipe in the show notes if anyone is interested in making this delicious milkshake instead of my mom's. We all know mine's better already.
No, it's not. Let's see who gets a tummy ache first. I know I won't be. It's going to be you, Jessie. All that chocolate.
My bet's on you. $50.
Anyways, so what haunted ship did you pick to cover today?
I chose the USS Hornet.
Oh, wow. That's a good one. I've heard that ship is really haunted.
It sure is. So, grab onto your favorite milkshake and hold onto your blankie. Be wary, it's about to get scary. So, before I get into the haunts, let me explain what the USS Hornet actually is. The USS Hornet is an SX-class aircraft carrier built during World War II. The Hornet was a significant piece in the Navy's primary offense force during the Pacific War. In early 1944, she participated in attacks on Japanese installations in New Guinea, Palau, and Truk, among others. The Hornet then participated in the Marina and Palau Islands campaign, most notably the Battle of the Philippine Sea, where she received a lot of damage from the enemy. After the war, she participated in returning troops to the U.S. The Hornet was then placed in reserve in 1946. She was finally reactivated during the Korean War, seeing action from 1950 to 1953. But her service was not yet finished, and she also participated in the Vietnam War. Before she retired from her duties, the Hornet served as a recovery vessel for the Apollo 11 and Apollo 12 astronauts when they returned from the moon.
Wow, that's impressive. I never knew that about the Hornet. I heard only like 3 ghost stories regarding the Hornet. I never knew the history of it.
The Hornet was truly an amazing ship. It was finally decommissioned in 1970. She was eventually designated as a National Historic Landmark and a California Historical Landmark, opening to the public as the USS Hornet Museum in 1998.
So we can actually visit this ship, Jesse?
Yep, it's something we need to put on our to-do list. Matter of fact, I'll do that right now.
Whoa, definitely, for sure. This seems like we need to schedule future paranormal investigations on this ship.
Yeah, I would absolutely love that. I think it would be amazing to see the USS Hornet in person. Overall, they offer night tours, so I mean, we can just go there tomorrow, maybe?
That would be so cool to stay on that ship overnight.
So, after sailing through all these waves of history, it's no wonder that the Hornet is acknowledged as one of the most haunted ships in America. Now, it's time to get to the haunting!
I have been waiting for it. Let's get spooky with it, Jesse.
The USS Hornet seems to be a vessel that carries ghostly reminders of historical events. Sounds of gunfire had been reported, as well as shouting and unseen footsteps. Tables have been seen to move independently, and lights often turn on and off by themselves. Besides these spectral noises, voices have been heard when the ship was empty. Spectral orders were whispered as if the ship was still engaged in the battle. But some of her ghosts are intelligent hauntings, appearing as a full-bodied apparition. One intelligent spirit still aboard the Hornet seems to take pride in his service, even in death. One witness claims he saw what he thought was one of his co-workers stepping off the main hull onto the side passage about 25 feet away. The witness called out to the figure, but it kept walking, stepping into an empty compartment blocked by a chain. Witnesses refer to this ghost as the dressed white ghost, apparently an apparition of a sailor wearing his white dress uniform.
As soon as you said that, I thought of the lady in white. Since there's so many stories with a woman wearing a white gown, but you're talking about a white sailor uniform, right?
Yeah, it's not a dress, it's just a white hat, shirt, and white pants. Basically the dress is not white.
Okay, that makes much more sense. For a second, I thought the sailor was wearing a dress.
I mean, who knows? Maybe 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 he did it on his time off, but not in the story. So let me get into some other unsettling encounters that have been reported on the USS Hornet. In the Hornet's sick bay, rows of World War II era hospital beds with white sheets and metal frames stretched back into shadow corners. Guests that have stayed in the ship have attempted to communicate with the spirits by using pendulums, dowsing rods, maglite flashlights, and Ouija boards. Multiple guests have encountered countless activity from the ship's spirits using these methods. So, when I was researching this episode, I read an article from a former tour guide of the Hornet and private events manager that had stayed overnight. The both of them experienced a lot of paranormal activity. I mean, it was pretty spooky.
Makes me want to visit that ship even more.
I mean, same here. If you listen to tales told by those who have stayed aboard the Hornet, it seems as if you are never really alone. One witness, who was a Girl Scout, was sleeping overnight on the Hornet with all her Girl Scout friends. She claims, as soon as the lights faded, the spirits began to show themselves. While resting on her bunk, she felt someone pushing from below her bunk, but she was alone. She eventually felt 3 uncanny nudges from her unseen force. The girl sat up and slowly peered into the darkness within the ship. Out of the blackness appeared a pinpoint of white light that illuminated the shapes of the faces of 2 ghostly sailors. One of these phantoms said to the other, "Watch that one," before fading into the nothingness of the room.
Oh my goodness, that is so creepy. The fact that the ghost spoke and seen her? Girl, mm-mm.
I don't know how I feel about that. It's one thing seeing ghosts, and it's another thing when the ghosts see you.
Yeah, that's gotta be a really uncomfortable feeling when a ghost actually acknowledges that you're there.
I found a story from a man named Dan Brisker. Dan Brisker was a machinist aboard the Hornet between 1965 and 1969. He was detailed to fire control, which required him to spend his watch in the ship's fire rooms. One night, he was having a snack and suddenly heard work being done in a boiler firebox, despite the fact that he was on the graveyard shift and thought he was alone. As Dan walked into the firebox to check on the sound, he heard a paint scraper drop to the floor. When he poked his head in the firebox, there was nothing except the paint scraper. Another online story talks about a family who took a private tour of the ship and videotaped all of it. During one segment, they kept noticing a flash of light in the corner of the screen. When they scrolled through the video frame by frame, they discovered it wasn't a flash of light at all. It was the ghostly apparition of a sailor wearing a white shirt with a pack of cigarettes rolled in the sleeve. So there are so many stories like these online from visitors staying the night on the Hornet or just a few hours.
We definitely have to put this on our list. This can't wait.
I mean, joke's on you, I already did.
Oh, yeah. I didn't even notice that. Did you do that while I was talking into the microphone?
Yeah.
For those of you who don't know, we have this to-do list in our pod lab. Maybe some of you have seen it on social media when we post videos when we're in here recording. But on our to-do list is a list of places that we want to do paranormal investigations. So Jesse just put the USS Hornet on there. Alcatraz is number 1. I just looked back. I'm like, what's number 1? Yeah, we got to go there.
Okay, so after learning about this ship, I really want to go visit it. I mean, we have to go. If anyone is interested in an encounter with Navy veterans of World War II who may not have survived the war, can learn more about their service with a paranormal presentation aboard the Hornet. The presentation is followed by an after dark tour of the ship's ghostly hotspots. For more information, visit the USS Hornet Museum website. I will link it in the show notes for those of you who are interested. You can also support the museum with a donation or tribute a donation in someone's honor or memory. And that, my friends, is the history and ghostly tale of the USS Hornet.
Very spooky, Jesse. I'm already on the website on my phone looking into giving a donation.
Whoa, how'd you do it that fast?
I'm your mom. Of course, I do everything at a very quick pace. But yeah, we should do this.
I mean, that's a great idea. So many people fought hard in the war. That ship has been through so much stuff. It would be an honor to donate and visit, not just for the ghost hunt, but out of respect for the people that lost their lives fighting for our country.
You're right, Jesse. We're gonna put this at the top of our list of places to visit. Matter of fact, on the board, Jesse, go erase it from the bottom and put it for number 1, because I really do wanna visit this first. Even if it's not for a paranormal investigation, just out of respect for all those people who fought so hard in the war.
Anyway, what ship are you covering today?
I'm really excited about what I'm covering today. So I will be discussing the Queen Mary.
Oh my god, are you serious? That ship is on our to-do list. I'm putting it up for first now.
Yeah, that ship is already on our to-do list. I think it's at, what is it at, number 5? Yeah, you should put this to number 1. I have been so fascinated with the ship for a very long time. That's why I decided to cover it.
You picked a good one. I'm glad you're covering it.
All right, hold on to your seats. It's about to get spooky. Do you believe in ghosts? Whether you do or not, the Queen Mary is a place that sends shivers down even the bravest spines. This historic ship has quite a reputation as one of the most haunted ships in the world. But before we get into the haunts, let's talk a little bit about the history of this magnificent ship. Built in Scotland and launched in 1934, the Queen Mary was one of the most impressive ships of her time. Her grandeur was unmatched, and she became known for her speed and elegance as she transported passengers back and forth across the Atlantic Ocean. During World War II, the Queen Mary was converted into a troop ship to assist with transport efforts. She played a huge role in helping to transport military personnel from America to Europe during this time. The RMS Queen Mary spent 3 decades transporting the rich and famous across the Atlantic before retiring in 1967. She survived the Great Depression and World War II and managed to avoid the tragic fate of her cousin, Titanic. But under the glitz and glamour, this haunted ship is hiding several dark secrets.
My ears just perked up when you said dark secrets. I mean, I don't even think my ears can perk up, but they did.
Okay, so let's go back to 1936.
I was just waiting for you to jump back in your time zone.
You and your 1900 jokes. Jeez.
19? 19. Whoa! That was a long time ago, man.
Anyways, Jesse, it was a sunny day in 1936 when the Queen Mary departed from England on her maiden voyage. She offered all the finest amenities: exquisite dining rooms, swimming pools, daily radio broadcasts, a kennel for the passengers' dogs, a children's nursery, and even a hospital. And she was fast, broadcasting at top speed of 32 knots. She could travel from England to New York in 4 days
Whoa, that's really fast. I would drive that ship.
and crash it. Gosh, you can't even drive a car right now. Are you kidding me? The ship's parent company, the recently merged Cunard White Star Line, was desperate for success. Cunard had gone broke during the Great Depression, and the White Star Line was still scared by the Titanic and Britannic. Their fates rested on the Mary, and it seemed their luck had finally turned. The RMS Queen Mary dominated transatlantic travel, holding the blue ribbon from 1938 to 1952 and welcoming celebrities, politicians, even royalty. But the world was in turmoil. At the outbreak of World War II, the famed ocean liner became a military transport ship, hauling between 5,000 and 15,000 soldiers across the world. And that's when things took a dark turn.
Why couldn't it have stayed happy with sunny skies and smooth sailing?
Look, I wish this story had a happy ending, but unfortunately it doesn't. If any story we covered on here had a happy ending, we wouldn't have a podcast show. Isn't that the facts?
Yeah.
At least 47 people died aboard the Queen Mary during her time at sea. A young crew member named John Petter was crushed by a door during an emergency drill. Another died after drinking gin that had turned out to be cleaning fluid.
How do you mistake that for cleaning fluid, and how do you get crushed by a door?
I don't know how somebody mistakes cleaning fluid for gin, but he did. And it's very unfortunate because that's got to be a real painful way to go.
Well, that's a horrible way to go, definitely.
So the rest of the people on the Queen Mary died of natural causes. At least, that's what the official records report. But hundreds of others are said to have died on or at the hands of the Queen Mary prior to her retirement. In 1939, the ship was drafted into military service. Britain believed her size and speed would keep her safe from German U boats, and they were right. It's rumored that Adolf Hitler offered a $250,000 reward to any submarine captain who would successfully sink her.
I was not expecting that. Adolf Hitler to be in the story.
Me neither, all right? I learned so much researching this episode. So, the Queen Mary's efficiency came at a cost. She was pushed to her limit, often cramming 15,000 soldiers into spaces designed for 2,200 passengers. She was stripped of her fine decor and amenities in order to create more space. Her bright smokestacks were painted navy gray, and her portholes were blackened out and welded shut. The transformation earned her the nickname Gray Ghost. In the summer, soldiers slept shoulder to shoulder above deck and took turns sleeping in bunks below deck. The lack of airflow made the cabins very hot and suffocating. Some soldiers died from heat exhaustion. Others jumped ship. The Mary was no longer a luxurious cruise ship. It was a living nightmare. Legend says the staff went half crazy too. One rather gruesome rumor is that galley crew locked the chef in his own oven one night, roasting him alive. Though there are no records of the chef's demise, there is substantial evidence that the Mary was responsible for deaths of over 300 men.
I mean, that's a lot more than what you started with.
But it gets worse. In October of 1942, the famed ship accidentally collided with the HMS Cuirass, a much smaller cruiser that was escorting her around the Irish coast. The Cuirass was zigzagging in front of the Mary, hoping to throw off any potential missile attacks, when the 82,000-ton ship mistakenly plowed into it, breaking it in half. Some of the crew died instantly. Others drowned or got hypothermia in the freezing water. The Mary never stopped to rescue them, as it would have compromised the thousands of soldiers on board. An estimated 329 men died as a result. The truth of what happened was sealed until the war ended 3 years later. By then, the Queen Mary had undergone a 10-month renovation that erased any remnants of military life. Paintings of fine china and Art Deco returned to the cabins and dining rooms. She was ready to dazzle the rich, famous, and powerful once again.
I was like, wait, how? So, how would you be able to visit it if it was broken in half? But they renovated it.
Exactly. Everything is restored back to how it originally looked. So, all of the expensive decor in the world couldn't bury what happened during the war. The Queen Mary was a haunted ship.
Yeah, as much as I want to stay at the Queen Mary and do a ghost hunt, I would be more scared to visit that ship over the USS Hornet. Yeah, I said it. I said it, yeah. It seems that more deaths occurred on the Queen Mary than the USS Hornet.
I agree with you. I feel like this ship would have had more ghostly activity, or has more ghostly activity, I should say, especially more negative activity. The Hornet's ghostly activity never seemed as malice compared to the Queen Mary. I know a little bit about the USS Hornet from things I've read online, and I don't think the activity in there is a negative one, for the most at least. I think the Queen Mary, that's got to be a lot of really bad leftover negative energy from what had happened and how many people perished on that ship.
I mean, as scary as that is, I still want to see it.
Same here. The ship is reportedly haunted by over 100 spirits, the most infamous being the spirit of Stateroom B340, where paranormal activity is so frequent and intense that some members of the crew refuse to go inside. Everyone seems to have their own story about who or what haunts the room. In 1948, a third class passenger named Walter J. Adamson mysteriously died there. Is it his ghost that haunts the place? Or was he killed by the ghost? Another theory claims staff locked a man in his third-class room after he murdered two women in the 1960s. During the night, he began beating on the door, screaming to the guard outside that something was in the room with him. When they opened the door in the morning, they found his bloody, mangled body. He had been ripped apart. When the ship was retired in 1967, three third-class rooms were combined to create a larger hotel room, B340. Not long after, guests began reporting odd things. One woman said she was woken when the bed covers were ripped off of her in the middle of the night. She then saw a man looming over the end of the bed. Others heard phantom voices and complained that the faucets turned on by themselves. The ship received so many negative reports throughout the 1970s that B340 was closed to the public for over 30 years. It was reopened as a haunted attraction in 2018, though it comes with a fierce warning. Even the current captain is too scared to enter. Other haunted areas include the former first-class swimming pool, boiler room number 4, and the doorway where John Petter was tragically crushed during the emergency drill. Petter's ghost is often spotted wearing blue coveralls. Sometimes he'll run behind people, whistling, as if warning them. Other times he'll ask guests if they've seen his wrench. When they turn back to him, he's gone. The sheer amount of ghostly activity aboard the Queen Mary has earned it the title of the most haunted ship in the world, and it attracts many paranormal fanatics and history buffs.
Technically, we're both. I mean, we love the paranormal as much as we love the history part of it.
So much truth to that. By the 1960s, commercial flight had become the preferred method of transportation, and the thriving ocean liner industry had gone dry. The golden years of transatlantic travel were over. Despite her 1930s luxuries, the Queen Mary couldn't compete with modern cruise ships. Cunard eventually made the difficult decision to sell her to the city of Long Beach, where she would serve as a tourist attraction and hotel. With the exception of a few modern updates, the Mary still looks like she did in her day, grand and glamorous. It's known as the Ship of Woods due to the impressive number of mixed woods used in her construction.
Wait, so you're saying that there's a hotel and we can actually like sleep overnight in it?
Yeah, it's a hotel. You can do ghost hunts and everything, or just go for a couple hours.
I didn't know that. This is the first time I've ever heard that the ship was constructed with a lot of different woods, because I've never heard that before.
Same here. This has been a really interesting episode that I got to research. I learned a lot. So, when the Queen Mary first started, it was filled with hope. Now, this haunted ship holds as much evil as it does hope. Neither time nor renovation can bury the dark secrets of the RMS Queen Mary.
That was a tragic and horrific story.
Yes, indeed it was. For anyone who's interested in staying on the Queen Mary, like we are, whether you're just visiting for a couple of hours or staying overnight, it will be placed in our show notes.
That's all the time we have. Thanks for tuning in. If you don't already know, we do listener stories once a month. If you have spooky story and would like to have it read on air, please write us at milkshakesghosts@gmail.com. If you would like to follow our socials, we're on TikTok, Instagram, Threads, Twitter, and Patreon.
If you would like to become a Patreon member, please visit patreon.com/milkshakes and ghosts. I will link it in the show notes along with all of our other socials.
Join Patreon for free monthly gifts and cool perks.
Let's give a shout out, whoop whoop, to our awesome, amazing Patreon members.
Hey, why? Patreon. Hey, why? Come on and join the trend.
Mr.E from Special Delivery Show. Check out the Special Delivery Show. His podcast takes interviews to a whole new level. I'd like to give a big shout out to Pods R Us. Pods R Us is a digital creator. They post weekly updated top 10 best podcasts to listen to. Let Pods R Us help you find your next podcast. I will link their Instagram in our show notes. I recently got this really cool shirt that I'm still bragging about. Yes, indeed I am, because I'm wearing it, from a good friend of ours on TikTok. I want to give a huge welcome and a big shout out to PsychoFiend13. He's on TikTok and posts really cool content, and he has some weekly lives with some amazing people. So go give him a follow and check it out. I will link his TikTok account in our show notes.
M&G VIP members also include Death Rock 1875, Electric 222, Clara Jones, John and Jenna, Mothman Prophecy 424, Vampires Rock 222, The Blonde Happenings with Kelly and Brenda, Witches for Life 1892, Bigfoot is Real 76, Bloodsucker 95, Nightmares 888, Witchy Talk 65, Dracula Rocks 222, Tina and Ruben, Ramos 1972, Marie, Mary Ann, The Paranormal Duo, Laura and Joanne, Bruce L. Spooky, Harmony, Joan of Arc, The Dark Side, Ronald H., Joe Santana, Myra Morales from Not So Spooky, Judy Kimura H., Tony S., Jean from The Truth Is Out There, Nadia and Edward, Carl and Becca, Mandy and Kenneth, Jules and Christina, Joel from The Paranormal Countdown, Alan, Death Star 1, Maxine, Terror Screams, Jewel M., Victor and Myra, Haunted Canadian History, Melissa and Dan, The Truth Is Out There with Carly and Allison.
Woo! Breathe, Jessie, breathe. Take a deep breath. Wow, girl, our Patreon is filling up fast, and it's a great deal. You can actually do a free membership or a 7-day free trial. You can check out some really cool videos. We post stuff on there that no one else gets to see. It's literally like you're a family member. So welcome to the family for all of you who have joined. Thank you all so much for becoming Patreon members. We appreciate each and every single one of you.
And remember, keep drinking milkshakes.
And keep being spooky!
This episode is brought to you by...
Looking for a reputable notary republic at an affordable price? Well, look no further. Mrs. Ashley Lutchman is now taking appointments and accepting new clients. Jessie and I needed some documents to sign for our podcast.
We wanted someone with experience who was well known and didn't cost a fortune.
That's right. One of our good friends had worked with Mrs. Lutchman regarding some legal paperwork they needed notarized and recommended her to us.
She was professional, efficient, and affordable.
If you need important documents notarized, email Ashley Lutchman at ashleylutchman@gmail.com. Ashley Lutchman can be found on Instagram and TikTok. I will link her socials and her email in our show notes.
Ashley Lutchman is remote and commissioned in the state of Florida.
It's spooky season, 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 it's spooky season, it's spooky season, 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 spooky season.